Hello and welcome back to the Corridor Cast. Today's episode is sponsored by the book, the official book, Top 10 Games You Can Play in Your Head by Yourself, edited by our very own Sam Gorski and our buddy D.F. Lovett. This book is available right now on Amazon. So if you're watching this, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, go to corridordigital.com and there'll be a link at the top of our website. That's right. It's available now. It's finally here. Turn your mind into the ultimate gaming engine. And with that, our guest today, we have the honor of hosting Wuz Good Armstrong, who is a creator and director who's seen it all and done it all. You may recognize his work from, YouTube, Facebook, Vine, Instagram. He has gotten to work with some of the greatest comedians currently out there on the digital mediums. He's gotten to work with a bunch of big names in music, doing music videos, and we're going to hear his story and how he went from having $20 in his pocket when he first moved to Los Angeles to amassing over 1.7 million followers on Facebook and almost another million on Instagram. So what goes into that? What goes into the man who can amass that following for himself, and what's his creative style like? We're going to find out all about it right here, right now. Welcome back to the Corridor Digital Podcast. We got Wuz Good Armstrong here. Thanks for being here, man.
Dude, thank you for having me.
You just come in to do a little cameo in one of our videos.
First time.
Yeah.
It's about time.
It took us like 3 years.
Good 3 years.
To get together on something.
2015.
Yeah.
So like 4 years, 2019 now.
Man.
Time flies.
It does, dude.
But it's awesome. I'm so excited because you guys have the best channel on YouTube.
Dang, you heard it here first.
Seriously.
Well, that's, I think, what brought us here is that you came down to our studio with a couple buddies a couple years ago, and we just had sort of this mutual admiration for the work that we were doing. And so, I think that's throughout the last 4 years, I've been searching to say, oh, maybe we could get you in on this, or maybe we could get you in on that. And, no one has time,
dude,
because
why is there not enough hours in the day? 24 is just we only have about, I want to say, a good 8.
You got a good 8, yeah.
And it's just that's not enough.
And you got a sleeping 8. And then
why do we have to sleep? Why? I think sleep is so whack. I'd be mad every time I lay down to go to sleep. I'm like,
well, they say it's because we have these big old brains. That's why we have to sleep so much.
I need a surrogate that can operate while I sleep, then just to get stuff done. Let me dream about my
pull a brain out of somebody else.
Yeah.
Put it in. Yeah.
Or just listen. I think Corridor. I think you guys have the technology somewhere in this building to duplicate. I think you do.
We do.
Oh yes.
We do.
Please duplicate me.
That's cool, man. So yeah, let's just tell us a little bit about how you got started in all this, because you've been doing this for how many years now? Just over directing,
10.
Writing, creating.
Over 10 years now.
Yeah.
But I'd say it started when I was in my mom. I just
long time ago.
No, honestly, I started out in radio. Well, prior to that, I grew up in Japan.
Really?
Yes, I grew up in Japan, and that influenced a ton of what's going on in my life. When I moved back to the States, I was 18, and I was just kind of terrified of the world, but I knew I wanted to be in the industry somehow. So when I went to college, I got on the radio. That's how I got the name Wuz Good. But that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I was, even though I was talented, I was like, there's another level. I need to be in front of the camera. So I found this school in Florida by the name of Full Sail. Yep. And I got a brochure, and they just sent me packages for an entire year. And I was like, I'm going to that school, and I'm going to work from behind the camera to get in front. I was like, that's the only way I'll be able to do it.
Yeah.
And I went out there with the intentions to be an editor. And then I found out how much work that was. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. And I started directing. And there was a teacher at my school. He said, film is 24 frames. So if you can get a still frame down, you'll be able to nail 24. So I started with photography.
Yeah.
And I literally shot everything, bus benches, doorknobs, sidewalks, just trying to find different perspective, knowing my lenses. And then I eventually got into directing, and photography took me pretty far. I did album covers, I did magazine covers, I was working with a ton of artists. I used to take my business cards and leave it every place. I'd go to the Apple store and I type my website in on every computer and I just leave. It was just any way to get my name out there. And this really popular producer at the time said, find an artist in your town. I was in Orlando, Florida. That's the biggest one, and do a video for them. And I did a music video for this group called Trill, and the video went up on World Star Hip Hop, and that was really popular at the time, and did 1 million views. And I thought I was going to be rich. I was like, that's it. I'm out the game.
It's done.
Everything is going to be expensive. Sorry, I know my worth, guys. And that was just pre-understanding what the internet, what this world was about. At that time, I was in a relationship that didn't end up working out, and I just ended up becoming homeless. And I was couch surfing for like the next 2 years after doing that video. The video, first of all, took like 5 months to do because crew members were dropping off like flies. There was no budget. I was just, me and my buddy were like, yo, let's shoot a video, and we did it. And it did well on the internet, but that doesn't mean anything. When artists are trying to work with you, I just overpriced myself, and like, that's just me not knowing too much about the industry. I'm just like, yeah, you guys can't afford it. Like, I know you want to give me $5,000, but it's going to cost $15,000 for me to do anything, you know, or, I was just overpricing myself completely. And that put me in just a big hole. And then my neighbor was like, hey, we're moving to LA on Monday. Do you want to go? And I had $20. I was sleeping on my friend's couch. So I asked my roommate, like, do you want to go to LA on Monday? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So we drove from Orlando to LA. And it was on the pretense of going to a meeting. I did have a meeting with this producer I was supposed to be doing projects with. And that, like, me being not really that knowledgeable about how LA works, like, that meeting was just, something to say. It was nothing in the books. Yeah. And it was nothing scheduled. It was just like, let's do a meeting when you get to LA. So we drove there. I was like, yo, we're gonna have a meeting on Wednesday. This is me scheduling it for him. This is a huge producer. And that meeting was not even on their schedule or on their radar at all. So I called my friends, and they allowed me to stay on their couch. So now I'm in LA sleeping on another couch. And I'm like, this is around the time when MySpace was really popular. YouTube was just now budding. But what I would do was, any video that I had, I would I'd go and post it. I'd cut reels together all the time, and I'd post it on everyone's page. This would be my job from 9 to 5. I'd send videos, Visual Fire. Check out new Visual Fire, and I'd have like a compilation of music videos that I did.
How did you get the footage for all that?
I mean, I did a lot of videos. I did a lot of videos. Like, the one big one led to other videos, even though I overpriced. There were like videos in between. But it just wasn't enough to sustain. And, neither were photography gigs. They were like small gigs, but I was shooting a lot of big artists at the time. So a lot of the times I still think today it's about the illusion, in order to get the bigger gigs, So it was a lot of sacrifice, just hoping and praying that a lot of stuff is gonna really pop off.
Let's unpack all this a little bit. Like, pre arriving at LA. I mean, you started this conversation by saying you grew up in Japan.
Yes.
So unbox that for me, man, because I've never grown up there.
So my mom's a Marine.
Okay.
And when I was in 3rd grade, she got orders to go to Okinawa, Japan. And I was like, hell no, I don't want to go there. I have friends here.
Right.
And
mom.
Yeah, exactly. Mom.
Clearly she doesn't get it.
And we moved over there, and it was just the oddest thing at first. You go there, and there's about 7 to 8 military bases there, and there's Marine Corps bases, and there's like, I think, 1 Air Force base. And we moved to this base called Kinzer. And I went to this elementary school, and I met all these new kids, and they introduced me to like Dragon Ball Z, because it wasn't out in the States. I was on Power Rangers when I moved over there, and then I got introduced to Dragon Ball Z, and it was just, I was just in love with that show, and I'm still am to this day. And I continued. I started doing martial arts. Got my black belt in Okinawa Kempo. Got another black belt in Taekwondo.
Yeah.
And I made great friends. Some of my best friends over there. And I left my senior year of high school.
So you were with a bunch of other military kids?
Yeah. So it was like I grew up on like around a melting pot of cultures.
Right.
So everyone was mixed with Japanese, Native American, Korean, and German, Filipino, and Taiwanese. There was like everything there.
Yeah.
So it was really hard, like I think when you're a military kid, you want to identify with some memory or maybe where your parents were from in the States. So when people ask where you're from, I was like, yeah, I'm from New York. I'd try and have this fake New York accent, but like I know nothing about New York. Actually, I was terrified of New York at the time because my mom is from Brooklyn and my family, they're all West Indian. So we have Barbados and Montserrat. So her growing up in New York, that's what I related my life to at the time. And
New York's terrifying for anyone, I feel.
Man.
Like it's hard to navigate.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And as a kid, you're just like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were in Japan. Japan was like, when I left, it was probably the hardest thing. Like, I didn't want to leave. And it was a culture shock coming back to the States.
What was the like?
So many things.
What was the best thing about living there?
Best thing about living in Japan, the culture. The Japanese culture is so dope. They're so advanced. Just from the video games, like video games were coming out early. There was so much stuff coming out early, but there was so much stuff coming out late. Like the disadvantage at the time was we didn't get cable and we got movies like 6 months late. So when I'd come back to talk to my cousins or my friends, I'd be like, yo, did you see this? Like, yeah, that came out last year. I'm like, oh, it did. Okay.
Is it still like that? Do you know?
No. Everything's, with the internet, everything's so much more advanced. Like when we got cable, we didn't get cable till like 3 years later. And that was for the entire island of Japan. Like they didn't have cable from the States till I think maybe 97, but like 93 to like 96, it was 3 channels. 1 American, 2 or 3 Japanese for us on base. I'm pretty sure Japanese had cable, but we weren't getting that. So it was honestly the best time of my life, though. I learned to drive over there. I drove on the other side of the road, on the other side of the wheel. Yeah. And coming back to the States, it was a complete readjustment. It's a culture shock. And that's weird because you're around a bunch of people that speak English, but coming to the States, it was just intimidating. From going to the gym, like I've never had to pay to go to a gym before. You had to do that here. Right. Going to a pharmacy.
You moved from there directly to Florida?
No, I moved from there to North Carolina.
Okay.
And that's another military base. So I finished out my senior year of high school in North Carolina at this base called Camp Lejeune. And it's crazy about Japan. When you grow up in a military family, you always run into someone that you've known. So I was running into people that I knew from 7th grade or 5th grade at Lejeune High School. I'm like, oh yeah, man, we used to hang out. And like some of my best friends from 6th grade, they lived in North Carolina. So it was crazy to see them. And that carried on even to this day. Like in college, I moved to Texas to go to college. So I went to Amarillo College and West Texas A&M, where I started radio. That's how I got the name Wuz Good. Yeah. And what ended up happening, I remember I had a job at Walmart. I had some regular jobs in the States that I'm just so glad I'm not working at anymore. Yeah, man. I worked at Domino's Pizza when I was my senior year of high school. And I suck as an employee outside the industry. I remember, like, people would call the phones. The phones would ring so much at Domino's, and I was on the phones. I'd pick up, and I would be exhausted from picking up the phones. And I would say, we had this little script there where we have to read the specials. And I'd be like, thank you for calling Domino's Pizza. This is Wes. Would you like to hear about our specials? And I don't know if they're not paying attention. I don't know if I didn't enunciate. But they'd be like, no, can I hear about your specials? And this is like maybe the 200th call I had. Yeah. And I'd just be like,
just hang up.
Yep, I'm done. I'm out. I'm tapped out. I can't do it. And then they called back.
I think that's because people have such a what do you call it? Like a reaction to like pulling up or calling into a place to order and then immediately asking you something to upsell you.
Oh man.
And it's like, because I feel like I do that sometimes. It's like I pull up to a drive-through and they're like, "Hey, can I da 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 da?" And you're like, "No."
Yeah.
Here's my order. Even if it's the same thing that they just brought up
They
to
just
you.
said, yeah, exactly.
Right.
It was just, oh man. And I remember the other thing that would happen was, all right, this is the other phone call story. So then they'd call back, and the camera would be on me. So I'm like, I don't want to deal with this call. So I just be like, and they'd be like, hello, and I'm like. And I hang up again, and then they move me to food, and I'm a snacker. I'm the type of person that like I'll have snacks in my house and I won't eat them.
Pulling the pepperonis out for the finished
Oh man,
pizza.
I was the worst. But if I'm at somebody else's house, I'm trying to snack. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But like I'd be down the line, they're like, Wes, don't eat the food. I couldn't help it. It was just like these just seemed like edible to eat. So boom.
So you did all that. And
Yes.
You found yourself in a radio station.
Yes.
So
yes.
how did you get into that gig?
I went to college in Texas. I heard this girl, DJ Casey, on the radio, and I was like, that sounds kind of tight. I think I could do that. Yeah. And I found out
this is pre-camera too, right?
This is pre-camera.
Okay.
This is pre-camera. I found out about it, and I started doing radio. I was interning at first, and then I got on the real radio station. And me and my buddy, this is when MySpace officially started. Like, I feel like for me, it was like 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
We started creating videos and putting them up on YouTube. An engineer said, you should check out Full Sail University because I'm editing these videos. I'm just having fun with my friends, editing videos. I was like, I felt like I was so advanced, but I was not advanced at all. I think I was on like Movie Maker. Yeah, I think I was on Movie Maker. And I was like, oh, maybe I need a green screen. I don't know where I got the idea for a green screen. I never seen anything like it, but I was like, yeah, we're going to be like flying. I always had these advanced ideas that I could never, like when I look back, there's no way I could ever achieve it, but like I had the imagination for it.
Yeah.
And so I found out, before I went to Full Sail, I did an internship at Disney World. And I went there because having a martial arts background, I was like, oh, Disney owns Power Rangers, so I'm gonna try and be a Power Ranger. So I went out there for that or a park character. I didn't get any of them, and I didn't get any of them because you had to know how to dance, and I just don't know how to dance. I don't know choreography. It's just not my skill set. So boom, I'm there, and they stick me in fast food.
The calls started ringing again.
Good God. And like I just couldn't deal with it. It was too much. Like dealing with it at Disney, there's certain things that you have to do. You have to go out. When you're on the floor, they call it being on stage, and you have to be out there with a smile. If you're not out there with a smile, you can get written up. Right. You can't point with one finger, you have to point with two, or this. Just like this, because this can disrespect people and in some cultures. So I'm there for like 5 months, but I met some great friends there. I just couldn't work there, you know. So I came back to the States, did the radio, found out I came back with videos, and that's when he told me about Full Sail, and I was like, all right. A year later, I'm back in Orlando, Florida, attending Full Sail University.
And at what point did you first put a camera in your hands throughout this?
Oh, well, I was putting a camera in my hands when I was doing the MySpace videos. Okay. I was sitting there editing those myself, and I thought I thought they were great, and they're...
It's the 4:3, and it's grainy, and there's no lighting. And
I thought I was making magic.
Right.
I thought I was making magic. So, boom, I'm at Full Sail, and it is like... What's the best place in the world? People probably say Disney is the best place in the world. Like, that was it for me. Like, this is where I need to be. And I was just surrounded by so many driven and creative people, and not so driven and creative people. You know, like you start out with a class of 100 and it breaks down to like 30 because people are just dropping off like flies. Yeah. And so like Full Sail's an accelerated course, so you had 4 hours lecture, 8 hour lab, or 4 hours lecture, 4 hours lab, and we were going through anything from screenwriting to cinematography to directing to shooting on film, 35 and 16 millimeter photography, developing film. It was just dope, and I had like I learned really about networking. And so I connected with a bunch of teachers, and they helped me with shooting projects. I remember my senior project. I can show you my senior project. You want to see that one?
Yeah.
It was for Rockstar Energy Drink.
Okay.
And I found out that, it was a great commercial, but I learned a valuable lesson about putting the product in the commercial at least 3 times.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have any close-ups of the product. But it was like I had everyone come out. So like at Full Sail, there's so many different degree programs. You have music, you have show production, you have digital art and design, you have production design, and you have filmmaking. And most black people that are there are in music. So it was when people asked me, "Oh, you're in music?" I was like, "No, I'm in filmmaking." They were like, "Oh shit, that's crazy." Like I don't know why, but that's just how it was there.
Supply and demand, I guess.
Yeah, and I was crazy about making dope stuff. So
that was it. That with that, you were able to hook up with people who are doing music
Yep.
and start making music videos.
Yep, exactly. And I would take pictures of the artists, and I was really I got into Lightroom at the time, so
Yeah.
my images were
Lightroom's
like
great.
kind of like cartoony, but nobody else was doing it. So they're like, "Oh wow, this is crazy! Like, what are you doing?" I was like, "Just using my presets that I made."
Using my presets, man. Yeah.
So yeah, I was on Lightroom heavy. I ended up working with this company at the time called Ozone Magazine, and they were really popular in Atlanta and Florida. And so I started doing photos of Pitbull, DJ Khaled, B.O.B., Ace Hood, like all these rappers and artists that I'm meeting. And I was like, you know what? One of the goals at the time was to get me in like iced out chain and a grill. I don't know why. But then you find out that it's like all smoke and mirrors. So
What do you mean by that?
it's just sometimes it's not what it seems like. It's a new artist, and you're thinking, "Oh wow, they have all this money. Like this is gonna, they're gonna pay me a lot of money to do my thing." But it's an investment for the manager or the label for the artist. So this is like some of the stuff might not be paid off for. Maybe this stuff is just for the video.
It's like a video advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Or an album advance.
Exactly, but you don't know that going into it. You're thinking like, "Wow, they're coming out. They're about to blow up. They are rich already." Like, I don't know how it worked. I didn't understand the business end of things.
They used to do that with those No Limit albums. Remember, they used to do all the CG like gold and tigers,
and you're like, "Yo, they're on."
Yeah.
But it, just like any business, it takes time to ramp up, and so that was like, a lesson I had to learn. So, music videos. I'm traveling around doing music videos. Well, I graduated school. I'm doing music videos within Florida. Moved to LA. And then I started getting music videos back in Florida. So now I'm flying back and forth, and then finally I just stayed there another year. It was tough, but I somehow made it out of it. I ended up getting a job at Buena Murray. So this is my first job working with an actual like television studio. So they produce Kardashians and Real World and stuff like that. But I was over in the digital department.
Yeah.
A fellow Full Sail grad got me the job. So I came in as a producer on the show. For a YouTube show. It was kind of like, it was called Breakdown. And I worked there for like 2 years. And in that time, it was when YouTube was like going like this. So this is 2012.
Yeah.
2012, YouTube is just on the rise. And in between, 2011 to like 2013, I think that's when it was like really like going in.
That's when anybody could jump in.
And everyone was like blowing up. So I shot 2 shows every day, Monday through Friday, and then I started creating my own shows. And around that time, between that time, I did a series. I did a short film, a Spider-Man short film that blew up on the internet. It blew up. I ended up meeting Marvel execs. I meet Screen Gem execs, like the CEO or president at the time. I met him
Of Marvel?
Of Screen Gems.
Okay.
And then they took it down. Like I went to Comic-Con, and I was like, "What do you guys think about taking like comic books and making?" Dude, the short Spider-Man film that I did was Miles Morales. All right, And this is right when the comic dropped. I was like, oh, I love this character. This is so dope. Let me make a short film about this. So I went to Comic-Con, and there's like, the project had been out maybe 3 weeks, and there was a whole line to talk to people on the Marvel panels. And I went up there, and I asked them, I was like, what do you guys think about, taking comic books and making live action pieces out of it? They're like, we don't mind that at all. We actually think that's great. Nobody's really doing that at the time. And I think there was Superhero Beatdown. I think they were starting to do theirs, but no one was making like short films out of them. I don't think, anyway.
Yeah.
But I told them about that, and the whole crowd erupted. I can't even lie. It was like 400 people inside. There was so many people, and they're like, "You made that? That's been circulating around our office for weeks. Like, come up here. We got to talk to you." And I was taking pictures with them, and I made like great content. I was like, "Oh, I'm about to make it." I was like, this is crazy. Brian Michael Bendis retweeted it. It was just a great time. And then it ended up being taken down for copyright infringement.
God damn.
And I was just like, are you kidding me? So I put a little disclaimer in front of it and uploaded it again. And then it's still there to this day. It didn't get back to 1 million, but it's whatever.
Right.
And then Vine came out.
Yeah.
And I got introduced to it in February.
2012?
I think 2013.
Okay.
I think 2013. I got introduced to it in February. My friend Ken Michael was like, yo, you should check out this app. I think you could do really well on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, man, it's over. It's over. And then I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it for like 6 months. And then, I also in this YouTube time is when I'm meeting like a lot of YouTubers. Like, so when I came to LA in 2009, I met like JK Films and Wax and all these other YouTubers that are just doing their thing, and we're just kind of like hanging out, and they're doing their thing, and I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to like start doing videos like this.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand the process behind it, and so I still was meeting YouTubers in that time, and
a lot of them jumped over to Vine at that time.
Well, before Vine. That's what I'm saying. Before Vine, I met them, and my Spider-Man thing had blew up, and this guy named King Batch hit me up. Like, yo, I saw your Spider-Man video. And I was like, that's crazy, dude. I just seen your videos last week. And then we started collabing on doing videos. I did, like, music videos for him. I did, like, 3 big music videos for him. And we were just hanging out all the time. And when I did the music videos, I invited all these different YouTubers to his video set. So JK Films, Daystorm, and a bunch of other people. And then he connected with Daystorm, and they just started shooting videos. And they just started blowing up. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm still doing this thing over here for the television show. Yeah. Then Vine came out, and they were like, Daystorm was like, yo, you should come shoot Vines with us. I'm like, all right, I'll come through. And I just started filming them. I just come through, film it, and I'm like, all right, I'll see you guys later. Like, yo, you're funny, you should shoot Vines. So
I think that's where we first recognized what you were doing. Is because I realized like you were shooting a bunch of videos. Yeah. Because we did a project with Daystorm back in like, man, it must have been 2011. It was like one of the first videos we did, and then we just kind of followed him, what he was doing, and then through that connection is how we came to know you.
And so like I was doing this stuff for the YouTube show that I was working on. So like I was just tag Breakdown in it. I'm like, yeah, if I'm gonna be in it, just tag Breakdown. Yeah. And Daystorm was like, bro, you should make your own channel. I was like, no, I'm producing television, and I remember, I'll never forget, in a month, because Batch was just doing it back to back to back. I was like, bro, I don't understand how you're doing this, man. Like, you're just doing it back to back to back. Cool. Yeah. He got 1 million followers in a month. Yeah. I'll never forget. And I was like, yeah, I'm about to make my own channel. Yeah. So I started making my own channel, and I sucked. I sucked for a very long time. Yeah. I'd say a year and a half to be exact. It was hard to get people to retweet my stuff. It was hard to get people to, like share my stuff. It was just, me trying to do it. And it was me, Splack, and Woody, and we were just grinding it out all the time. Me, Splack, Woody, Lulu, and Layla used to come over. And we'd just be shooting all the time. Yeah. And it would just be in my neighborhood, and we just started gaining traction. But like, I wouldn't say mine was like the best. Splack had an Android phone, and we were just figuring it out. I remember when I first met Woody, he paid me $20 to shoot a video for him, and I shot the video, and I lost the $20, and I really needed that $20. Yeah.
So what clicked on Vine? At what point did you figure out a format?
Yeah, they would call my stuff well edited deletes because it always looked good, but it was just not funny.
Yeah.
And then at one point it just clicked, and then every video I was posting was getting 1 million views.
What was that about it creatively?
Making it simple.
Okay.
Making it simple. So it was me, Bash, Leanne, Clarity, Melvin. It was all of us just we'd have like meetups at Daystorm's house and we'd shoot all day. Or I'd be at my house with with Woody and Splack, and we'd shoot for hours. And I'm so technical with it. I'd be trying to get like different angles, whip pen, and all this stuff like that. And then Vine ended up obviously slowing down and kind of like dying, and I recognized that. I was like, dang man, this is this isn't the same, like the popular page isn't the same. And I was never up in like the top 10 Viners. I was in maybe like the top 1,000. And it was tough because there was a lot of talented people out there.
Yeah. That's how we met Danny Gonzalez.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah.
So good.
It's through that. So that was what clicked for you creatively, though, on Vine.
Yeah, making it simple.
The simplicity of it is the one hit from the setup to the punchline.
Yep.
Setup to the punchline.
Yep. And it's still it's tough, but thankfully I got some, that really popped off. And then Instagram introduced their 15 seconds, and I was like, great, more time. And so that started doing really well for me. And then they introduced a minute. I'm like, oh, great. I think I'm gonna go to Facebook. So I went to Facebook, and my page hit 1 million in like 4 months. Like I started, taking my time doing like more cinematic style content, and like just doing it my way. Like sometimes when you're around a lot of people, you try to do it their way, and you get caught up in like that mindset of like, oh, I can only do it this way. But I had to really get content and comfortable with myself and the things that I like. And I was like, I don't care. Let me just do it my way. And it caught on.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting 1 million followers, and it was like the best day ever. They don't give you a plaque on Facebook for getting 1 million followers, but my girlfriend, she made one. Shout out to you, Brandy.
Nice.
She made me one, and it was really tight. And that's where I feel like life really started changing for me.
Yeah.
I started working with a ton of brands, producing content for them that was going viral and blowing up, and it's just been great. So from that point, I'd say like the last 3-4 years have really just on the internet have been very successful, have been very fun, and I've had a lot of opportunities to work with like a lot of people that I've always wanted to work with in terms of studios, in terms of companies. It's just been great.
And how did your creative process evolve from when you really figured out the simplicity of what connected with people on Vine? How did you translate that into Instagram and then over to Facebook, and how has that
really, like a lot of people, they'll say like, just be yourself, and it really is about authenticity. Like, what do you like? Your unique perspective on how you view things is different from everybody else, so people are going to gravitate to stuff they've never thought of or seen before. Like nobody's ever going to think of the same exact thing the same exact way. And I love that. So I really honed in, like, I like cartoons, I like anime, I like martial arts. Like, these are things I like to do. Why not just do the things I like to do, as opposed to trying to like shift and curve with like what's the trending topic of the day or something like that. Like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I could do, it's really easy for me to hop on the trends of like, I'm trying to think of one that everyone did. Yeah, there's so many of them that everyone would do, and then you'll see a whole bunch of different versions of those.
Ice bucket challenge.
Yeah, whatever. Ice bucket challenge, whatever it is. Like, I could do those, and like those will do well. But what do I really like? So I just honed in on being authentic to like my own voice, things I like. I retired from doing music videos. I absolutely refuse to do those.
Really?
Yeah, because I like, when you're doing and working for another company, or you're kind of like, your creativity is at the disposal of what they want you to do.
Right.
And when I started working for different companies operating from my page, they were like, what do you want to do? Yeah. What's your idea? What do you like?
Well, you're the distributor.
Yeah, I'm the distributor. Yeah. And I'm like, this is way better. Yeah. I have creative freedom. Like, maybe they'll give me some guidelines, but outside of that, I can control and create stuff on my own, and like it's just been amazing. It's a different world. So yeah, that's led me here now to this day.
Right.
So,
I think in the lesson of that is like just hearing that story. I know you got to go soon, so but this is what I took away. First and foremost, you learned the tools. Yeah. And that, because people always ask us, how do you do it? What do you do? How do you get into it? How do you shoot stuff? What do you all that. And that's the first thing, is that you started with the tools, both from like the camera standpoint, and then also just the grind to work, just that process of just going through and meeting people, figuring out how other people are doing things, figuring out what's working for them, what's not working for them, how that applies to what you want, figuring out what you don't want, and then really putting yourself in a position with the education that you've garnered from this experience to take advantage of an opportunity when it comes along.
Big time.
Because it's like, and it's even like what you said with Vine, like the first couple of times you saw it, you're like, I don't know. Maybe it's not for me. Maybe it's for you. It's working for you. That's great. But maybe it's not for me. And then, but it would be a lot different if you had never touched a camera or you had never done anything creatively. And then all of a sudden you sat there and your buddies are making Vine videos that are blowing up and you decide you want to do it too, but you got to start there. Yep. Think of how, all the work you put in up to that point allowed that.
Yeah, you had to like really humble yourself, honestly, because you're shooting on a phone, and like I feel like if you're a filmmaker, you could shoot on anything, but like how they were doing it was just, it's a whole different style. But then you're used to shooting on like bigger cameras. Now I got to do this on this little phone. Yeah, like it's almost like traveling backwards, but at the same time, it's advanced. Right. You know what I mean? It's so crazy because there's no editing. You're shooting for the edit. Like, right. And I've always been a believer of shooting for the edit. So, all right, I know that a Vine video down, I need about 8 clips at 0.6 or 0.8 seconds. Yeah. To tell a story. So I could fit a lot of stuff in to tell a 6-second story, 6.5 second or 6.8 second story. Yeah. But it's got to be, all right, I want to get a medium, I want to get a wide, I want to get a push from this way, but and then I have to trim.
Do it in such a refined way.
Right in there, and then we'd figure out different ways to hack the phone to get inside to download it on the computer, and that way then backdoor upload it to the phone. It was a lot of stuff. So like a 6-second video could potentially take you 8 hours. Right. And that's insane. But like you're trimming, you're cutting the fat. All right, cool. This is good. What do you guys think? And you're in group chats and people could be like, that's trash or that's heat. I got a lot of like no responses. I just go back to the drawing board and figure out different ways, and then when I got to Facebook, I could repurpose these videos, make them longer, and really have a well thought out idea.
So you found your style on Vine. Mm-hmm. You went to Instagram and to Facebook from there, and it was all sketches, improving, and eventually you told me before this conversation that Facebook picked something up from you. What is that?
So I did a series of sketches. I did 3 of them. They're called Couples Night, and they literally blew up in like a day. I'm talking about like 5 million views.
I saw those
in a day, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy. And then Facebook, they kind of made me they were looking for influencers that kind of encompass like directing, producing, writing, acting, all in one. And they're starting this thing called the Watch Program, and they selected me as like the first African American face of Facebook for their Facebook Creators app because I encompassed all those things. And they're like, hey, do you have any ideas for a series? We're looking to onboard you for our new program. Yeah. And I was like, well, I have this series I did called Couples Night, and I sent them a few videos. They're like, great, let's do a trial run and release episodes every Friday for the next 6 months. And they had to be a minimum, I think, of
6 months every Friday.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think it was
26 videos.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think it had to be a minimum of 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I did it, and they loved it. It did well, And but I discovered something, like one-offs don't really work in a series type form. So I had to revamp things. They renewed me like 3 other times. So as that happened, I was able to really like kind of like advance my way in filmmaking in terms of like writing scripted shows.
Yeah.
So I had brought 2 buddies on, Rome and Paris, to help me flesh out these stories and write these scripts out fully. And I ended up creating like 4 episodes a season. I ended up doing 6 seasons, but the first season was like 7 episodes of just one-offs. The second season was 4 episodes that I would condense into one short film. The third season was the same thing, and the 4th and 5th season were that same thing. So by the 5th season, I did 8 episodes and condensed it into a 40-minute short film.
Really?
Yeah.
So that was your first chance to do something scripted, basically.
Yep, first chance to do something scripted, and like I just got better along the way. So that was an amazing opportunity just to like get my mind wrapped around like what it is to be a scripted show. And like there were no expectations besides make a minute and 30, like a minute 30 video. But I was making 4 to 7 minute short films, and this was like, it's crazy to do that in a week. So I'd shoot it all in one day. Yeah. Or I'd take 2 days to shoot, because like the budget, wouldn't allow me just to do an extended amount of shooting. So I try to shoot as much as I could. One night I did 30 pages. One day I did 30 pages in like 12 hours. And that's a lot.
Of shooting?
Of shooting. Yeah. Went all the way through. These were 8 episodes. I did the whole thing. And it was crazy. And we'd break it down into like, all right, this is episode 1, this is episode 2, episode 3. But like I soon discovered I like to shoot 2 cameras. I don't want to shoot anything less than 2 cameras, so let me just get this coverage. Let me make sure I get my wide.
It's faster.
But then there's, I have to do another take. Let me do another take. And it's hard directing and acting at the same time. But, I was able to achieve it, like I learned to prepare better, to, give myself different options on takes. There was so much stuff going on, but it was like an intense boot camp for where my career is going next. Yeah. It burned me out after I did it. Like I did that for an entire year, and it burnt me out. So since then, I've done a few sketches, but I haven't really like dove in too much. I need to like revamp back up, because it was literally myself on the post end, myself and 2 other people doing everything. I had 2 music guys that would provide me for like the intro. But yeah, it was crazy. So it was 2 writers, myself,
crash course,
directing, editing, producing, my special effects guy, and then another editor, and that was it. And then eventually I was able to bring on a colorist. But very small team, but producing like big stuff, and ended up getting collectively about 15 million views. I wish, that's an accomplishment, but I would have liked more. But it's cool, like sometimes when you're rushing, you sacrifice quality just to get the product out, because by contract I had to have an episode out every Friday. Right. And because I learned the first time around, I'm like, maybe I'll release this one on Saturday as opposed to Friday, and you get penalized, meaning you don't get paid. Right. And I'm like, well, that's coming out of my pocket now. Yeah. So it was a very fun ride, and thank you, Facebook, for that.
For sure, man. I think that, just to point out, I think the process of that, just quickly, is that's what we're finding is iteration is. I think iteration is going to be king over the next few years here, especially with digital media. I mean, I think traditional is going to continue to put out what it's currently doing and to keep those formats. Yeah. But man, with digital stuff, like that's what we're finding is the more we can iterate on a character or a style or a genre or a story, just the more the audience likes it and wants to see more of it. Yeah. And you can create these storylines or these pillars or these features or these shows that drive the rest of your content. Yep, exactly. And it's been an amazing experience. You know what? This show actually got me nominated for my first Streamy, as Best Director. Sweet.
And that was pretty tight. You
Yeah.
know, like, it wasn't anything I was expecting, but you know, to be recognized after doing all that hard work, just, you know, like, there was no expectations behind it. It's just like, I just want to be better at this.
Yeah.
And to be recognized like that, it was just an amazing honor. I was like, this is not anything I ever expected, but it was great. So,
Dope.
new heights.
Every
new
day.
goals. Yep.
Every day.
Heck yeah, man.
So with all that taken into consideration, what are the what's like the big thing that is what you're getting into now creatively, and then you know, where do you see yourself in another year or another 5 years, and what are you doing now to make that happen?
So I guess I'll start where I see myself in another year to 5 years. I for sure will be directing feature films, like probably the blockbusters that are going to theaters.
Okay.
I'm 120% positive of that.
It's a sure man right there.
Oh yeah, I'm a big believer in myself and speaking things into existence, and like I said, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
The internet has just been a huge foundation for me, in terms of networking, making friends, seeing like the scope of creativity from different individuals, and trying to bridge the gap between traditional and digital. So I've graduated the Sony Directors Program. I've shadowed on several Fox shows. I'm, you know, meeting and partnering with different people. I have a great partnership with Real D 3D. They produce, you know, 3D films. Met with the CEO, met with the marketing team, and there's a mutual love there, in terms of really like making their films seem like the biggest thing on earth. I've partnered with studios like Lakeshore Entertainment. I've produced shorts with them. I've pitched, you know, they've given me scripts to pitch to them what I think, what my direction is. Same thing with other studios.
So they're consulting you now on that stuff. Is like,
yeah, a lot
because that's the studio system. Is you gotta work your way, kind of
Yep.
the shadowing thing, the sort of becoming in as like a consultant on different things, and meeting and networking along the way.
Exactly, and it's a beautiful process. Like every time I come onto a studio lot, it's that, like I said, it's that feeling. It's the same feeling from Full Sail, same feeling from Japan, same feeling when I moved out to LA. It's a refreshing feeling where I'm just like, okay, this is it. Like I know like something's gonna happen here. You know, like I know it, I feel it, and I'm just like, I'm always on the hunt for that feeling, and it's hard to explain, but I just know, you know, when things are gonna heat up, and even if they don't, you know, like I'm always very hopeful. I'm always thinking big. I'm always on, you know, to the next thing. Like, yeah, if it didn't work out, you know, like I'm all about planting seeds. So seeds I've planted over the past 10 years, some of them are blossoming today. Like one of the guys, remember I worked with Suzanne DePass in Madison, the lady who found Michael Jackson. There was a guy there that was working there. He was one of the producers on that team. He's the vice president of diversity at Sony now. So that's a seed I planted 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, what have you been up to? I've done this on the internet. He was like, yo, do you have any shorts to submit to the Sony Directors Program? Right. Yes, I do. And it was a thriller, and it got me into the program. And that's parlayed to so many other things. And people that have directed that or went through that program did Moonlight, did If Beale Street Could Talk. They're winning Oscars. Like, it's, you know, like, so things are working out, and I'm moving into, you know, I'm stepping into my purpose. I'm walking into my purpose every time I do something. Linking with Paramount, you know, there's a lot of people over there that believe in what I'm doing, and you know, it's a lot of speaking stuff into existence and just really like loving life. And
so if you could attribute that sort of positive mentality to one or two things in your life, what would you fall back on for that
probably
inspiration?
My mom's always like, she's always been my biggest fan. She's like, everything, the philosophies I have on just how to approach things have really come from her. You know, speak it into existence, put the 10,000 hours in. Yeah. You know your worth. Like, these things have been, you know, monumental in my life and helped me really just, they're like, you know, beats in a script. You know, like, these are the beats I make sure I always hit. You know, when I go into any situation, when I'm thinking, when I wake up in the morning, like, all right, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know, and like, I don't know, she's dope.
Yeah, man.
She's dope. So yeah.
Well, she set you on your way, and
yeah, she brought me to Japan.
Yeah.
You know? She brought me back to the States.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, she's been really great. So.
Well, man, I hope you. I wish you all the best of luck, and once again, I thank you for coming down here and spending this time with us.
Absolutely, man. Listen,
where can people find you?
You guys can find me on everything at Wuz Good. Corridor and Wuz Good sketches coming soon. Hopefully, short films and movies. Corridor, you guys are great. Seriously, like, man, I just got to start sharing you guys stuff more, because like when I see it, I'm just. This is what I'm talking about. It's so dope. So
well, hit us up and let's do something else again.
Absolutely,
soon.
man. I can't wait. I really can't wait, man.
All right, cheers.
So, cheers to you guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Huge thanks once again to Wes for coming on and sharing his thoughts and views and opinions and style. It was a great conversation. You guys can also check out more full episodes wherever you find your podcasts or on the Corridor Cast YouTube page. And remember, today's episode brought to you, top 10 games you can play in your head by yourself, edited by our very own Sam Gorski. I mean, I can't tell you enough about this book. If you've ever wondered what it's like to be a trucker and to have to survive and build a family business from the ground up, I mean, this is the book for you. If you've ever wondered what it's like to, explore space, build your own spaceship. Have you ever thought about this? Have you ever wondered what is a dungeon? Because it's not what it seems. It's not what it seems. And you're going to find it all in this book right here. Turn your mind in the ultimate gaming engine. That's right. Top 10 games you can play in your head. Amazon.com. Link in the description, or go to corridordigital.com. You'll find it there.